Is sponsored by Dave Stahl. It's time to get educated on your Second Amendment rights. Welcome to 2 full hours of Gun Owners Radio. Your hosts, Dave Stahl, Joe Germisi, and Michael Schwartz, will teach you about firearms, self-defense, and the laws that affect your rights to keep and bear arms. Visit gunownersradio.com with questions to learn how to become a sponsor of Gun Owners Radio and get involved. Together, we will win. Now here's your hosts, Dave Stahl, Joe Germisi, and Michael Schwartz on The Answer San Diego.
All right, folks, this is Gun Owners Radio, FM 96.1, AM 1170.
The Answer. Laura for La Mesa. Laura Lothian is in the studio, and we're going to chat with her about her campaign for La Mesa City Council.
But first, sometimes buying or selling your home can be very overwhelming. That's why we are excited that we have Scott Vincent and Caldwell Banker Royalty Realty as a sponsor. Scott is a tremendously experienced real estate broker with a passion for customer service. Scott is also a San Diego County Gun Owner Board member and has supported our efforts to defend and restore our Second Amendment from the start. So if you're moving, let fellow Second Amendment supporter and real estate broker Scott Vincent help you sell your home and find you a new home someplace else in the U.S. Call him today at 619-948-2459. Tell him you heard it right here on Gun Owners Radio. That's Scott at 619-948-2459 and online at scottvincent.com. That's VINSON. Well, Michael, how you doing, bud?
Good, man. How are you?
Living the dream. Just had puppies.
What is that? What kind of puppies do you have?
4 dachshunds that look like 4 Rotties. They're only supposed to be weighing a couple ounces, and they're weighing like a pound apiece.
They literally look like Rotties, though, or are they just big?
Oh, I never thought of that.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Oh, I never thought.
Yeah, I think you just busted one of the dogs with its paw in the cookie jar.
I wonder if she ever. I don't even know.
Because he has
Rotties and dachshunds.
Oh, no.
So if you just had some dachshunds that look like Rotties, you and I may have to have a talk on the birds and the bees here, Dave.
I
how
wonder.
that works, because I got bad news for you.
Well, the bad thing is I take care of them during the day. So if I let
It was on your watch.
Oh, my God. Well, I'm going to blame it on another friend. Anyway, what do we got for our kids?
What is that? Before we go into that, what is that green jalopy?
Is that something?
What is that?
That is a Hyundai Santa Cruz.
A Hyundai Santa Cruz. It looks like an old El Camino.
Yeah, it does.
Or
But
like
I tell
modern...
you, but it's a unibody truck for the guys that don't really want a full-size half-ton Ford.
Yeah. You like it?
I love it.
You've been driving it around all
Yeah,
week?
I've had it a week. And it's just, I've been getting 25 miles per gallon.
It was eye-catching.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you ought to see it when you turn the headlights on. The whole dash lights up in a big V, the daytime running, and then your headlights are down there. Yeah.
It was interesting.
I was going to show it to you, but you like your Jeep.
So I do like my Jeep.
And you want a Bronco.
I drove my Jeep today, actually.
And you want a Bronco.
I want
a Bronco. That's
so
all
I'll tell you, here's a gun show. We got to talk about cars for a second. So I just presented Laura, my wife, not Laura, the candidate, who's here with us. We're going to introduce in just a second. I said, look, if we had $10 million,
yeah,
and you still got to drive around from place to place.
Yeah.
What would your daily driver be?
And
sure, maybe you'd get a Lamborghini or whatever.
Yeah.
What would your daily driver be? Dave?
What would my daily driver be? Believe it or not.
Yeah. Money's not an object.
Money's not an object. 1966 Mini Cooper S. Right-hand
awesome.
drive.
Laura, what do you think?
Oh, wow. If we're going to go vintage, the old...
Anything.
No, you go anything you want.
No. I think I'm with you because I'm in the market for a car right now, and I can't figure out what I want to get. And I think I love the idea of the old Mercedes convertibles. Like the 280... What was that?
The 260, the 280, the 300.
Yeah.
Right.
And plus something that doesn't have a computer on it.
I'm going to have to go with a Ferrari GTC.
Look at this guy.
I mean, if we're spending money, we're going to be spending money.
You know what?
I
You
mean?
reminded me of a Nissan GTR.
No, I hate Nissan GTRs. The Godzilla. Yeah, no.
Isn't that the truth?
I'm not. Yeah.
Yeah, you want to be smiling at the end of the road, right?
Exactly.
So my Laura said she wanted a Lexus sedan. I forget which model, but like a 4-door Lexus. Something comfortable with a couple of horses. And I said the new Ford Bronco.
Absolutely.
The new Ford Bronco, the 2-door
I know.
Ford Bronco that you introduced me to.
Yeah.
I said that's
Have you been seeing them on the road lately?
I had one.
Oh, you have one?
Well, I had it. I get a new car to drive every week, like that lime green Hyundai out there.
Yeah, I saw that one.
That's till Thursday, and then I get another car, and then I get another car, and then I just had, you'll love it, I just had the McLaren GT.
No way.
Yeah, for a week.
How'd you like it? Awesome.
Had the 720S about 3 weeks ago.
Did you play with the little screen thing that goes up and down?
Of course I did.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
I love that car.
So
Anyway,
for those listening,
I love cars. So.
Christian, introduce yourself.
I'm actually the designer at Core Essentials, the ratcheting gun belt, and their media guy. And I also own Fenrir USA. We make plate carriers and other U.S.-made goods.
And we're going to introduce Christian here. He's going to give him a couple of segments. He's brought in some really cool stuff. We've already talked a lot about Core Essentials and how much I love their belts. So
I've got mine.
And then next to me is the lovely Laura Lothian. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Fantastic. And what brings you to the studio?
Okay, well, thank you for inviting me. And I am running for the Mesa City Council. It's an open seat, so there's no incumbent.
Yes.
And it's a special election, so we're like the only election happening in the county. And the voting starts first week of October, and the final day is November 2nd. And I am here to just talk to your audience.
And any special endorsements that you'd like to talk about?
Yes, I have the endorsement of the Republican Party of San Diego County.
No, special.
Okay. I was doing it ascending order.
Oh, all right, good. You're saving the best for
okay,
last.
all right. I'll go right to the best. Yes, I am. It's the San Diego County Gun Owners.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I've heard of that group.
We can keep her here for a while.
Yeah, we're actually very honored to.
And I'm very proud of that
endorse it.
endorsement.
Yeah, what?
Yeah.
Tell us why.
I'm proud of it because I'm proud of it because I think that there's a reason why it's the Second Amendment. And even though I myself am not an active gun shooter, gun owner, I am surrounded by people that are. They love their guns. They're extremely responsible. And to strip away somebody's ability to protect themselves or their family is shocking to me.
And you've been going to our Simon, your guy has been taking you to our events. You went to Gun Prom a few years ago.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
And he takes you shooting a lot.
Yes, right? Yes. Simon is my significant other of the last 20 years, and he is a fantastic shot. Yep. One of our first dates was him clay shooting, and I was like, whoa, I liked it. And then I went to your Gun Prom, and again, one of the things I noticed was everybody was really happy and engaging and good looking. I mean, it was just it was
all
a
dressed in their cowboy hats.
It was a cool crowd. Yeah,
we are a very handsome.
Group. The men were handsome and the women were beautiful. So yeah.
Well, they're like-minded. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. But they're just like-minded people, and when you surround yourself with like-minded people, it can be a really enjoyable afternoon.
Oh, the energy.
Yeah,
it really is.
Well, and La Mesa is a city council that we really have to. I mean, this is an extremely important race, folks, and it's a special election. It's happening November 2nd. And we really need to get Laura elected. We need everyone's help. Whether you live in La Mesa or not, you can help Laura get elected. And the cool thing is, there's no other race to concentrate on right now. So a lot of times when we endorse people, we come up with a list of a few dozen people. But right now, all eyes are on your race. And we need people to donate. We need people to walk neighborhoods. We need people to do phone calls. There's all kinds of activities. The La Mesa City Council, the makeup, I would say that how would I put this? The makeup of the La Mesa City Council, I don't think reflects or properly reflects the people in La Mesa.
Well, it certainly has changed.
And specifically when I say that, I'm talking about especially when it comes to Second Amendment issues. I think that the population of La Mesa is a very pro-Second Amendment crowd. I'm not quite sure right now the city council is there, but we can get there with you and some other folks.
Well, they were sure pro-Second Amendment after last year's riots. We had.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, we had the riot on a Saturday. Sunday morning, the whole town came out and cleaned up. There must have been thousands of people who were cleaning up broken glass, charred building materials, cleaning horrible graffiti. But then we kept getting threats of those same groups coming back for weeks. And what I noticed, very obviously, was a lot of people packing. I mean, it was surprising. I've never seen a gun packing heat.
Not
packing their bags and leaving, although maybe some did. But what I saw for the first time in my life were people. There was a lot of guns out. People were scared.
And they almost looked at you and said, "Go ahead and say something."
Yeah, no, they were protecting their businesses and themselves.
Exactly,
They
wouldn't
were.
you?
Yeah.
All right, we got to take. Tis yours.
Is it? I was looking at 4:30. All right, we have a local San Diego business owner, Christian Rodriguez, to talk about Fenrir USA and a better plate carrier.
All right, but first, self-defense and emergencies can happen to anyone, and there is no guarantee that the justice system will be on your side. So you need to make sure you are protected by the legal battle after your self-defense battle. And while you protect your family and property, U.S. Law Shield is here to defend you 24/7, 365 days a year with a comprehensive self-defense coverage of an affordable price. Bad guys don't take days off, and neither does our coverage. Hey, sign up today. Go to uslawshield.com. All right. Who's our special guest today, my friend?
Well, we just introduced him, Christian from, I know you from Core Essentials.
Yep. And also actually SoCal Gear Expo, which
Right.
is actually will be happening again. We've been working with Tor Knives to get that going in the La Mesa area.
And that was, we were there. We had a booth. San Diego County Gun Owners had a booth that was in the parking lot of Core Essentials.
Yep.
That's where I got my first Core Essentials belt, which I love.
Yeah.
And we actually talk about it a lot. I'm not a, I guess I'm kind of, I don't get excited about a whole lot of products, but Core Essentials, it was very, very cool.
Yeah, I mean, our startup too is pretty interesting. How Core Essentials started. I mean, track belts have always been a thing. I mean, I'm pretty sure you see them at Macy's, things like that. And so we were doing our own track belts, and then a couple gun owners were actually like, this would be perfect for a gun belt. And so from that, we started actually reinforcing them using screws. And then now we have competitors that basically ripped off our product, which is pretty flattering, but it's pretty interesting at the same time.
It's been great. I have a black one and I have a brown one for both sets of shoes, Laura, because you know what a slave to fashion I am.
Okay,
you know that, right?
Gotta have those.
So that's how I know you. But you also have Fenrir USA.
Yep.
Now, tell us about Fenrir.
Fenrir started up actually during the pandemic. It was actually from my passion for design, passion for tactical gear and shooting, and also not being able to find any product during the pandemic, things that I wanted to get. And so all throughout, I mean, I know how to sew. I can make you a jacket from scratch. And so that's what I was actually doing, but for plate carriers. And then I just started to pick up more momentum, and then actually started just do mass production of them. And so far,
So what do you make? What is it that you actually make?
a plate carrier.
Now, what is a plate carrier?
A plate carrier is basically
Something to carry your dinner plates from
No,
into the front
the
room?
armor
Oh.
plate. So I mean, my plates could carry up to level 5 as long as it fits a 10 by 12. I do have one here. I mean, it is all.
So level
packaged up.
5 is
A level 5 is
It'll
stops
stop.
stops a certain round. It just starts going up and up
Gotcha.
with the different rounds.
level
and-
5 stops like everything. Right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
Everything short of like a nuclear missile. or a
Yeah,
tank,
exactly.
right?
Well, not everything. I mean, yeah,
Okay.
it just depends.
So what in the world made you think there was a market for this?
I mean, there is a market for plate carriers in general, especially during the riots and COVID. People were scared and buying plates and plate carriers in general, especially with the supply chain being knocked out
Sure.
super crazy against. We're still having supply chain issues with Core and
Everybody
Fenrir.
is,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of my competitors and Core's competitors that no one could really get materials and stuff even to right now. You guys have seen with the chip shortage in cars. It's
Same thing.
Just random stuff like that goes out and stops production.
Isn't that
And
weird?
so I was actually, when I started making plate carriers, the materials that I was finding to use them they were actually available, and people were just with my marketing skills, because I also do the media stuff for Core Essentials, and so carrying that over to my personal stuff, I mean, I was just rocking out. So
That's amazing.
yeah.
So what's your background? Like, how do you said you're a designer for Core Essentials, and of course you do the plate carriers.
Yeah, so my
what's your
background, I've always been into design and tactical, even since like I was little. I remember when I was really young, I was hand sewing like a ghillie suit together. I don't know why. I was just doing it. And then I ended up going to fashion school in New York. And so from
Wow,
that,
really? Like, that's kind of interesting. Well, what attracted you to that?
well, I love clothes too. And so my senior year of fashion school, I was actually doing a bulletproof clothing. So I was making really really nice like jackets and stuff like that, like really kind of high fashion stuff, but with 3A inserts in them. So I would
What's
tailor
a 3A insert?
3A insert stops everything up to a 44. So about
Wow.
7 shots of everything up to that.
You look like a Navy SEAL, and then your Vogue fashion is just
No,
it's
yeah,
just,
so-
you do
No,
not.
he doesn't
fit.
look like a fashionista.
No,
He's wearing
Yeah.
very
macho
calm-
and handsome.
Yeah,
but
very calming clothes. Not like he's not
Yeah.
all sparkly.
Yeah.
And, did you
Yeah.
Did you
Sparkly.
find
Did
you like the sparkly?
Yeah, no
Sparkly.
glitter.
Sparkly, yeah. Just,
What did you
Well,
find
he's
a
not a
market
vampire.
for it?
the what?
Did you? I mean, were any celebrities come to you for their clothing?
People always ask me like, how are you going to reach out to them? But then, pandemic happened. But long story short, I got a lot of success at my school because like at my school, it's actually the best fashion school in the U.S. that I went to. And so most of the stuff that comes out of there is very like fashion inspired.
Yeah.
And mine was more tactical inspired. So like me coming out of there, they really have never seen that before. And yeah, so I got into Vogue. I was actually in Vogue magazine, the September issue. And so if you like, if you went to Barnes and Noble, you could actually pick up a magazine with my picture, and it was pretty interesting.
No
so you were in Vogue?
I was in Vogue twice.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
It's actually pretty interesting.
Were they talking about your clothing?
Yeah. So they're
durability of it.
Exactly. So the first time I was in Vogue was online, and they were really highlighting that. And then the second time in the actual issue that I was in, there was like 50 designers to look out for, and I was in there.
Wow.
Yeah. And so in that time, it was actually I was just telling her that when we went back for June, it was like primetime COVID in New York.
Yeah.
And it was just really, really eerie. But I went there for a photo shoot, and I was also kind of moved out. I was one of the classes actually that graduated online, and so I never really got to have a real graduation. I'm only.
So you're in New York. You're at fashion school. You're in Vogue,
and you're in the middle of a pandemic.
In the middle of a pandemic,
and you're but you have a tactical.
Mindset.
Bulletproof, or tactical mindset, a bulletproof product.
Yep.
What was it like going through school and living in New York? What was it like being in that world from that perspective?
I always try to get my little tactical fix in. Like I always, especially growing up, I always loved like airsoft. So I still do play it. Their guns are completely like kind of illegal in New York. You can't. To even get a gun, you have to wait probably I think it's like 9 months to get a permit. To get a gun?
To get a firearm or to get
a firearm in general.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're not talking about an airsoft.
Not for the criminal.
No, but airsoft is it's borderline illegal in New York, even though I still did it. I'm actually still in New York like airsoft group chat, and we would just go play all the time, like upstate New York, even in Brooklyn, and so like I would always just be obsessive with the kid over there, and then when I come back and actually shoot real guns, it's
so you just your clothing drive just couldn't help but go to an area that absolutely nobody does it.
Yeah, exactly.
When's the last time you went down and bought a bulletproof vest?
Well, actually...
I know you
I actually have one, Dave.
Last week.
I actually have plates and a bulletproof vest on it.
Yeah. Well, and that's so funny, too, because, you should always find something that you want to do that makes you happy and you love.
But I'm such a big guy, I actually couldn't get plates. I had to get a platter.
Then you need help getting out of a chair.
May I ask a question? Is it just for men, or is there women's stuff?
Right now, I only have one size, which is a medium. Most people wear a medium. It's not about the size it's about the size of the plate, and so the plate really drives what size plate carrier that you wear. There's large, there's small, there's extra large, but the most commonly used is medium. That's a 10 by 12 plate by most of the time.
10 inches by 12 inches.
Yeah. So it's a 10 inch wide by 12 inch tall. And then,
and how does it mount to your chest?
There's a little insert in there that you can just kind of push the plate in.
Okay.
Well, but before we get to the product, wait. We kind of skipped over. I really want to know. That's okay. I really want to know, what was it like being in that world, though? You're in the fashion world. You're in you're in Vogue. All that. What's it like being a gun guy in that world? Was there
hostility?
Pushback, hostility.
Yeah. Actually, a lot of people would a lot of people liked me because I get along with a lot of people, but they were also kind of confused by me because, like, especially how I look. I was working out a lot then too, and so I was really big walking around that school, and I was probably actually the biggest kid there. And so people were like kind of confused by me, but I'd also get into some arguments about some gun rights, blah blah blah, and also in New York, they're trying to make plates illegal, like armor illegal, which is crazy. Like, I don't know. It's not even like you're going to use it to harm somebody. It's protection. It's like making seatbelts illegal. It's like it's random. You know what I mean? It's because their whole thing is about so criminals can't use them, which is crazy. That's actually a law like across the board. I'm pretty sure in most states that they're legal to have unless you're a felon, or they're illegal. If you're committing a crime with plates. But New York's trying to make them completely illegal for even civilians.
They do want you to move. You do know that, don't you?
Yeah. And so
I think their handwriting's on the wall.
Yeah.
So was anything said to you? Did anybody, react? Did you have an instructor who badmouthed you?
No,
or were they supportive?
My instructor, the head of the fashion council at that school, they loved me. They had me speaking in front of all the freshmen and everybody.
Because you're so far out.
Yeah, I think
from
just
the norm.
They just never seen anything like me in there, and I was kind of like the underdog. People would be like, "Oh, why are you doing that? That's kind of a weird thing you're doing."
Yeah, nobody's going to buy that silly stuff.
Exactly. And so, I mean, everybody was just making like, their regular dresses and stuff like that. And especially over there, people don't really do menswear either. And so I wanted to do menswear, and then also the route that I took, it was just kind of threw everyone
Bright
off. But
light
yeah,
in a dark room.
Yeah,
exactly.
Really, that's pretty cool. I mean, what a great representative you are for our community.
Yeah, thank you.
Serious.
Don't you think?
Yeah, and so also I have my brother over there. My brother goes to the same exact fashion school as me, and I had him. He was a freshman when I was a senior, and he was like sewing up all of my stuff too, and helping me.
So he can be part of the company.
Yeah, exactly. So he helps me. He actually just left back to New York.
I didn't even think about. So there really is. There's a huge bias towards women's fashion. I'm guessing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huge.
So I
It's
mean,
huge.
what was it, like 90% women in the school?
About. Yeah.
Oh my God, I didn't even think about. I wish
pretty crazy.
I wish I could go back and talk to 18-year-old. I would have. That's a great idea to go to that school.
Yeah, I know. It's right there on Fifth Avenue in Manhattan. I mean, it's you can't miss it either. It's this weird looking.
So I
building.
got into the typewriting class of my school. That's because where all the girls were.
Yeah, typewriting.
Yeah.
Well,
And
he took that whole theory a whole step.
Yeah, I was like, I'm going to go to fashion school.
Yeah. And I had to have my fingers removed from going through the keys because they couldn't get them out. So that was my last. I was only there one day, so that was my last day in typing school.
Yeah, I think I was like it was like 1994. I graduated in 94. I think it was like the last typing class they had, and I took it for about 5 minutes and said, "This ain't for me.
This isn't for
I'm
me."
just I'm gonna have to fail in life, I guess, because I'm not gonna know how to type."
Well, now you can just yell at
Now
your
it's not even
phone.
called. Is it even called typing anymore?
Yeah, no, you just yell at your phone. It'll type it for you. It's pretty crazy.
I think
By
it's
the way,
just thumbing now.
Yeah.
I just did buy an antique typewriter too, so now I have one, so I can keep it on.
Nice.
Our freedom of speech is just as important as our freedom of self-defense, and that's why we're thrilled to support an American company like MyPillow. Go to mypillow.com and use the code FREEMARKET3 and get up to 66% off America's best pillow. Get a great night's sleep and enjoy the satisfaction of supporting companies fighting against cancel culture. That's mypillow.com and use the code FREEMARKET3 for up to a 66% discount.
Nice.
All right. Well, hey, we've got Christian Rodriguez sticking with us. Fenrir USA.
Fenrir.
All right. What's up with the name?
Fenrir. It's actually from Norse mythology. Yeah. So Fenrir.
I should have known.
Yeah, you should have known. But like I said, it is quite the marketing strategy there because it gets you try to figure out the name and look into it more. Yeah.
See, I did
Okay,
it.
so the product mainly is a plate carrier.
Yes.
And we talked a little bit about plate carriers. For those who don't know, plate carriers it's basically armor you wear to stop a bullet.
Yes.
And I think most people are used to the idea of a plate carrier being this big, bulky, thing that the military uses. But plate carrier technology has come a long way. It's almost to the point where it's replacing what people think of as bulletproof vests.
Exactly. Yeah.
So talk about plate carriers. Why first, before you even show us your product, why plate carriers?
Plate carriers. I mean, plate carriers is a very blanketed term. I mean, there's a lot of different plate carriers out there. I mean, the one that I have that I make, it's a slick plate carrier, and it's starting to become more and more like the norm. I'm not actually the first one to make a slick plate carrier. I'm actually got to give a shout out to Faro Concepts. They actually made the Slickster, which is like what started that, which Spirited Systems followed, and a lot of different T-Rex arms followed.
And what does that mean? What's a slick?
A slick plate carrier is basically something that you could dress up and dress down. You could wear it underneath a suit if you wanted to, or you could dress it all the way up plate carrier, like full on gear if you're gonna do some sort of something.
So plates and plate carrier technology has come so far that you can wear it, under a suit.
Exactly.
Just like a bulletproof vest.
Exactly.
So why would I not? Why would I do a plate carrier over a bulletproof vest for those out there who aren't familiar?
Plate carrier. I mean, bulletproof vests. You can't really wear as strong armor like that. I mean, most bulletproof vests are kind of 3A around that area. Plate carriers. I mean, you could throw anything in there. I mean, it's
way tougher.
Yeah, way tougher.
You're gonna stop way more.
Exactly. I mean, and it's so versatile. Protected. You can just throw in whatever you want. Some days you want a 3A, some days you want a 5. Not saying 5 is cheap. I mean, 5 is.
So you can interchange plates depending on what you're doing.
Whatever you're doing.
What kind of weight are we talking about? Say plate A and then all the way to the top.
Well, it really depends what plate. Well, how much money you have really, because plates like 3A, you could get some cheap 3A for like $100 a plate. They're not the best plates.
No, I want the because I'm a Nordstrom kind of guy, even though I've never been there. I've seen pictures. If I was going to buy the lowest impact versus the highest impact, what are we talking money-wise?
For a good pair of fives, I mean, you're looking around $2,000.
Okay.
Yeah, $2,000 around there, and then
and they last forever.
No, they don't last forever. They actually last about 5-6 years.
What
Because they expire from. It depends how much you wear it to.
Like a helmet.
Yeah, like a helmet. Well, helmets last around 10 years, depending on which company you use.
What happens to the plate? Like if
So
nothing
what happens?
to
It's
it,
a lot of Kevlar and ceramics, but what happens is all that moisture and sweat and wear, it starts to get into the actual fabric of it. It's actually just a bunch of fabric layered on top of each other, and it starts to really degrade it. And so, I mean, after 5 years, I don't know what kind of bullet it would stop at that.
But I think 2000s like
it's crazy.
That's way up there
in your budget.
I think most people out there are probably spending $300-$500 on plates.
Yeah, I mean, the plates that I personally use are the Hesco L210s, which they're like $300, and they're actually pretty good plates. They're not too heavy. They're about 5 pounds each, so you're looking about 10 pounds. But you could go to the lower end 3As, which are about a pound each. But always stay away from steel plates. I can't emphasize that enough.
Why?
Steel plates are people always want them because they're super cheap, and they're always like, oh, they're level this because they could stop whatever. But they're really heavy, and then they also don't absorb it. They actually, instead of absorbing the bullet, you got shrapnel going everywhere. So when that bullet hits you, you got shrapnel going to your neck, your legs. I mean, you're just getting cut up all over the place.
Laura didn't like that at all.
Yeah, so people think that that's like the easy way out, but they're only good for target practice, not for it to actually be worn.
All right, let's check out your product.
All right, well, let me open it up real quick. Sorry, brought it all packaged because I'm actually going to give this one away here.
Oh.
We'll make Rich put it back together.
Silica here. So you have your cummerbund right here. Let me show us the camera right here.
Fancy.
A little cummerbund with your little Fenrir tag.
You carry your opera ticket.
Yep. Yeah, so this goes actually around your entire waist, and these are actually perfect pouches for magazines, radios, tourniquets, things like that. And I made these little guys right here so you could put, all kinds of, glow sticks or whatever you want. Well, chem lights, I just like to call them glow sticks.
Accessories.
Accessories.
It's the color of World War I, khaki.
It's actually a coyote, but it's people like this color a lot, just the way, I love this color, especially for this environment that we're in San Diego. And so we have a lot of Molly on the front right here, and then we have stuff for a placard system.
Tell Laura what Molly is.
Molly is, you've seen this, right?
No.
You've never seen this?
No.
I know you have. This is on every single Nike backpack. A lot of Nikes
it's MOLLE.
Yeah, MOLLE.
Okay. Yeah.
A lot of different brands, not even tactical brands anymore, are really using this Molly stuff because it's so versatile. You could put anything onto it. It's so strong. Okay. And Molly across the board is always exactly spec'd the same way. So you could have all these materials and different things that are for Molly. I mean, people put holsters on them. People put little clips on them. I mean,
look, Laura,
you got some Molly right there.
That's
there it is.
Okay.
So it's got Molly, right? It's got the little straps there.
Okay.
And then I can put a pouch or whatever I want.
It's not Velcro.
It's not Velcro.
No. Okay.
So I can put a pouch, or you could put whatever you want. I just happen to have patches or a pouch, but you can put whatever you want,
just
a
little
holster
straps.
or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just a system for attaching
mounting
things.
systems.
Mounting
system.
Okay.
A lot of people are getting really smart and really crazy with this because, after a while, I'm telling you, the slick way is going really, really, really wild. And so this is now becoming a little obsolete with people, but it's kind of a fight. People are starting to use laser cutting to get that Molly in. But the thing with laser cutting, it does save you weight from this little webbing being on here, and you don't have to actually sew it. It's just you laser cut it in, but it's not as strong as actual webbing. I mean, after a while, that fabric does give. But the way that this is set up too is you could also I made it so it's meant for a placard system, which I don't know if I should really get into, but you could kind of just clip on whatever mission loadout. I mean, you could keep it bare like this, and you still have your plates, which go in here. These are your plate bags right here.
Plate bags, that's where you actually carry
carry your actual
the
plates
armor
inside here. So all you got to do is, I don't know how that sounds on the mic, but all you got to do is just throw whatever plate that you want in there. I mean, you could switch. You saw how easy that is. All you got to do is throw it in there. But so if you want it worn down, you could just wear it like this underneath whatever jacket. Or if you want it all loaded up, you just throw a placard on there and it just clips. You just have to get these little clips and it clips right into it. It's really awesome.
And you can wear that with plates, like you said, maybe not under a T-shirt, but
not under a T-shirt. Little jackets
under a suit.
Yeah, especially right now, it's getting a little cooler. Jacket season's coming in. You could carry bigger guns inside. You could you could also
like
wear
let's say
a little plate
you're an elected official in La Mesa. You may you may
need one.
You may want to invest in
Oh,
this.
well, they're under my blouse.
Yeah, exactly. And then a little cool feature about this too is how breathable it is. This is actually a Endorsed stretch material, so it's really stretchy, and also really breathable, so that you're able to, all that pressure on you, especially with magazines and whatever you're carrying, starts to make you sweat a lot, and just the plates, especially being up against you, gets kind of uncomfortable. So you have this right here for breathability, and then also added this loop right here, so you could put pontoons. Pontoons are basically, a lot of different companies make them, but you attach them like that, and it creates this fat pad on all four. So it's laying off your back, it's laying off your chest, and it's just all around a great system.
So is that just for comfort, or what's a pontoon do?
It's for comfort and breathability. So when
especially if it's hot out.
Yeah, if you have about a pontoon that's like about this thick, it means you have that much airflow going through your back, and that's, you're gonna want that, especially wearing.
And
plates all day
the
stuff like that.
the closing, so the where the plates go, that's held closed by what? By Velcro?
Yep, Velcro, and it's actually really strong Velcro. It's all mil-spec materials, it's a lot stronger than your regular Velcro. And mil-spec materials, they're really fun to work with.
You know, that weighs how much?
What'd you say?
How much does it weigh?
Oh, this weighs, I think it's like 500 grams or something like that.
500 grams. I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
How much is 500 grams?
Everybody shaking.
Pound?
No, I think it's 320 grams.
How many pounds?
Oh, this is like not even a pound.
That makes
it's
more
not
sense.
a pound.
There you go. Now you're on our
So by
world.
itself, there's no pound.
I'm an American. I don't know what a gram is.
Yeah, I know.
And then the plate added to it.
No metric.
An Instagram, I know what that is.
Yeah, there's
Honeygrams, I know what those
with
are.
the plate added to it, I mean, it's whatever your plates are, really. This
Yeah.
is under a pound. That's all you need to know. It's
So what's the
by
heaviest
itself.
plate?
Heaviest plate,
5 pounds?
yeah, about 5. Well, yeah 5.
And then
Unless
the
you're using
lightest?
steel. Steel's like 8 to 10 pounds per
Okay.
plate. But like I said, don't use steel.
But that holder is like it's like a heavy jacket.
yeah,
It's the equivalent of a
Yeah.
heavy jacket. You throw a plate in there, you're looking at another couple pounds.
exactly.
So it's
depending on how much money you want to spend and how much armor you're planning on
well,
having.
it's
in
not
there.
nothing, but it's not ridiculous either.
Yeah. So
Well,
that
if you wore that and had a sports coat over the top, would anybody know what you're wearing?
I mean, it kind of depends what kind of sports coat. Probably
well, I mean, so
not.
this is open in the front. It's right. I mean, like a T-shirt or
Yeah.
just a sports coat. Why not? Where's the front of it? Show me the front.
This
of
is the front of it right here.
Okay.
Can you wear that on a plane? On a commercial plane?
Oh, that's a good
I'm
question.
not too sure, actually. I'm
You wanna
pretty sure
go?
you get some weird. Yeah, you want to try it
How
out?
much? Well, how much
fly you
metal?
somewhere.
There's no metal,
No, there's no metal.
so you can get right through there.
Hypothetically,
Yeah, you could
Yeah,
probably wear it, but if you
unless
put
there's
the
some weird
metal in
law.
it, they'll question it.
yeah.
Not that they would not allow you to remove.
It'd probably look. You'd probably start some problems though. And people go, what kind of vest are you wearing?
probably-
on this
you'd
plane?
probably-
Yeah,
they-
I wouldn't want to risk it.
They
Well, if you
probably
had-
asked the question.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
if you had a business
Pull you
card
aside.
and showed you were you're the owner.
Yeah,
of
I
the
think
company.
maybe it would pass. But then again, it's like okay.
And
I
you
get
still
you're the
want to put
owner,
it
but-
down below. You don't want to take it off.
Yeah,
on board.
exactly. So
All right. So, do you come in any other color?
it comes in Coyote black, Ranger green, multicam black, and multicam.
Can it be personalized?
Cotton candy pink.
Yeah.
And so actually, that's the next thing for Fenrir. I actually wanted to
Personalize it.
stop making these like colors like this and actually make it more of like a specialized drop. So there's these camos that are really like niche camos, like US Desert Night, M81, things like that. And so I'm thinking about like stopping production on these like mass produced plate carriers and start going more of the custom route.
Specialized.
And
Well,
also
who is your customer? Are you again? Most people associate this with military law enforcement, but you're selling to civilians.
I've never been in any law enforcement or military, and I train. I think every civilian should own a pair of armor and train. I mean, that's your right.
So the end user, we're talking. If you're listening in Southern California, he's selling to you. This is not a government contract.
This is for you.
And how do they find you?
My website, FenrirUSA.com, and Instagram, FenrirUSA.
FEN.
FENRIR USA.com.
FENRIRUSA.com.
Yep.
You know, I
pretty
got to
fast,
go
too.
Google that to find out what the heck it is.
I mean, yeah, you'll find it though.
I have a funny feeling. All right.
Awesome, Christian. That's very cool.
Yeah, and
Thank
it's
you.
love to see young entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Take what's between
I've
your
been pretty
ears
busy.
and run with it.
Yeah, with this and also with Core Essentials. And,
Yeah.
yeah.
Keep
So-
up those belts. I love it. They're the best.
Yeah, we have a lot of new products coming out
Do
too,
you?
and yeah, we're also working on a duty belt as well. We also actually just came out with our battle belt that we just designed, and it's really
What's the website over
And
there?
you're located in La Mesa.
Yeah, and we're a La Mesa company. We're trying to stay in La Mesa. We love the area.
Center Drive.
What's the website?
CoreEssentials.com. And so you can find us on Instagram,
And that's
Pinterest,
KOR.
KORE Essentials.com. Yeah.
Right. Well, hey, it's always good having you down. Take care. We're going to take a
Thank
quick
you.
break. What do we got coming up next? Oh, we're going to talk to, let me see, who are we talking to? All right.
Mark Mueser is running for U.S. Senate. Find out why California should vote for him next.
All right. I'm just looking at what I do with my, oh, there we go. Hey, we live in a state where your self-defense rights.
Nope. Did you know law-abiding gun shops?
Where in the world did I do it?
445.
445. Well, where is my 445? I'll just use this one. All right. Hey, did you know law-abiding gun shops and manufacturers had their credit card processing shut down because the vendors think that the guns are inappropriate? Well, shutting down businesses that support your constitutional rights to self-defense is wrong, which is why we are so excited to have 365 Glacier Payment as a 10-ring partner. 365 Glacier Payment specializes in companies in the firearms industry, and if you have a business that accepts credit cards, give them a call today so you can enjoy the peace of mind that your accounts won't be shut down, and also enjoy the best rates. Visit their website at 365glacierpayments.com. Ask for a free account review, and if they can't beat your credit card processing rates, they'll pay you $100. Whew. All right.
$100. I could use $100.
Tell me about it. I could use $100 too.
All right. So our guest Mark is out campaigning hard, I guess. So you know how that is, Laura.
Oh, God.
How has your
Exhausting.
campaign been? This is not your first campaign, right?
No, but this is the first campaign that I've done with help. And
Yeah.
I actually have a Capital Media helping me run my campaign, and it's the first time I've ever been asked to raise money. I've always self-funded anything I've ever done, and I've been talking to household names, like the biggest celebrities in San Diego, and it's been amazing. And I've raised thousands of dollars, and I've never done it before.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, actually, Mark's on the line. We're going to continue to talk to you in just a minute, Laura. But let's talk to Mark. See how his campaign's going. Mark Mueser, how are you doing, man?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful. How are you doing today?
Fantastic. It's a pleasure to speak with you again. You and I have we've been in the same room a number of times and said hello a few times throughout Orange County and San Diego. You're very involved in politics in Southern California. I think that's fair to say.
I wouldn't put the disclaimer of Southern California. I would say the state of California.
The state of California. You actually, now I think, correct me if I'm wrong, you actually work for a law firm that's out of San Francisco, right?
That is correct. I may live in Southern California, but the firm's based out of San Francisco.
And what kind
the
of
Dillon Law Group?
What kind of law do you practice?
I do constitutional, political, and election law.
Which is huge in California.
Let's just say if I had 1,000 attorneys working under me with an unlimited budget, I would still need more attorneys.
You'd still need more attorneys. So what was the catalyst? What made you not, like I said, I'm very familiar with how involved you are in politics in California. I know a little bit about your career and what you do as an attorney. Well, what was the catalyst? What made you go from that to candidate for U.S. Senate?
Well, over this last 15 months, I have filed 22 lawsuits against Gavin Newsom. I have multiple other lawsuits going on, like when Shirley Weber decided that she was going to make up a new rule, reinterpret California law, and cut Larry Elder off the ballot. I was the attorney who represented a third-party voter to show the First Amendment reasons why she couldn't do what she was doing, and we actually won, and Larry Elder ended up on the ballot. When the Democrat Party tried to take Trump off the ballot, I represented 3 voters in the state of California. So over the last couple of years, I probably 30, 40 lawsuits against the government and I'm kind of getting fed up of playing defense in the courthouses. And it's like, well, if I'm fighting for people's liberties and their freedoms and their constitutional rights, I'd rather just take them out of office where they can't do the damage to begin with.
Interesting. And the election, this is you're running for the seat that Harris vacated, right? Am I right? Or is this going to be Feinstein's?
No, this is Harris. Feinstein's up in 2024, so this in 2022, which is, anybody who lives in the state of California. Kamala Harris was your U.S. Senator. When she became vice president, Gavin Newsom appointed Alex Padilla as the replacement. So right now, based upon who's in the race, it looks like it's going to be Alex Padilla versus me.
And we know how bad Padilla is on Second Amendment issues. We're very familiar with him. He came from the legislature. Been in Sacramento for a while, and he's voted for, and I'm if memory serves, authored some pretty horrible anti-Second Amendment legislation. We're a gun show. What are you going to do different if you're a U.S. Senator? What are you going to do different for gun owners if you get elected?
Well, number one, you hear what's going on up in San Jose right now, where they're going to try to put insurance on everybody.
Yeah,
our firm is prepared for litigating that particular case. I mean, I believe in protecting the constitutional rights. That Constitution is to protect we the people from the government, and so the thing is, it's not what I'm going to do; it's what I'm not going to do. Because any law, I think, is in direct contradiction of that Second Amendment. So what is it I'm not going to do is I'm not going to be passing laws. I'm going to be fighting them putting laws in place.
I'm assuming bad laws, if they're trying to gun restrictive laws,
unconstitutional
laws, victim disarmament laws, you're going to fight against.
I mean, we got, the whole purpose of the Second Amendment is to protect the people from an overzealous government. And so, the Second Amendment is not a hunting permit.
Exactly right. So tell us about your strategy. How are you going to win? What can gun owners do to help you win?
Well, I'll put it this way. What we can do to win is we vote. I'm an election law attorney, so I actually get pretty deep into the weeds. In 2018, I was the Republican candidate for Secretary of State. I got about 4.4 million votes. I lost by about 3 million votes. But what we found in looking at the data is that there are 4.5 million people who are registered to vote in California, who know they have a civic duty to vote in California, but chose not to vote because they didn't think I could win.
Well,
the silent majority has simply bought the lie that people who want good government can't win. And what we have to do in order to win is reinvigorize the people. There's like 8 million evangelical Christians who didn't vote. There's several million gun owners who didn't vote.
So Mark, Dave and I talk about this fairly often.
I
Dave,
know.
you see where I'm going already, don't you?
I know right where you're going.
So we've talked about this a lot, and you're probably one of the best people we can talk to about this.
Mm-hmm.
Is California, are they cheating? And when I say are they cheating, do people's votes count? Do we have a fair and legal election? Or is there widespread fraud? Talk about that and give us some real talk.
I want to throw a couple more in. I mean, the voting machines, who are they owned by? There was a report that came out and said they were the easiest voting machines to manipulate than anything on the market. And I've been saying to Mike back and forth, and he keeps yelling at me, quit with the conspiracy theory. But
the reason I don't want to put that out there is one. Well, the biggest reason I don't want to put that out there is that exactly what Mark just said. People are discouraged from going to the polls because they don't think their vote counts.
They have no confidence.
And if they do that, then they win. They don't even have to cheat.
Right.
They just have to keep you from voting.
Exactly. So, Mark, how do we get the confidence back?
No. Before that, I want to hear.
You want yours first?
I want to know, does California have a free and legal,
safe,
and legit safe election process?
Well, do you have 2.5 hours for me to fully answer those questions you just throw.
I'll tell you what, we got 2 minutes now, and then we can take you over into if you can truly give us some information on that, we'll pull you over into the next segment. I really want to know
time.
this. Yeah. So go ahead.
I got time, so we'll
go for it.
Okay, so go ahead and start. You got about 2 minutes.
Going. You got 2 minutes now, and then we'll pull you over to the next segment. So go for it.
Because this is important.
Okay, this is very important. California's number one problem is not election integrity, it's voter suppression. And the voter suppression comes because people believe the media that Republicans and conservatives can't win. And as such, they simply do not vote. Now, this voter suppression comes in many different forms, and we'll probably get into it into the next segment here. But what is important to understand is that there are millions of people who are registered to vote. Their ballot was mailed to them. They know they have a civic duty to vote, but they came up with the conclusion that their vote didn't matter.
Okay, Mark. Hey, Mark, we're at the top of the break. Don't go anywhere. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
All right, so we're talking to Mark Mueser who's running for U.S. Senate. We're going to talk about voter integrity, but first...
PRMI Mortgage, primeres.com/Alpine. Are you in the military? Are you looking for help for a VA loan? Well, if you're looking to buy, refi, or maybe even considering a reverse mortgage, you need to call our local mortgage guy that you can trust. Call Chris Wiley at PRMI Mortgage. For nearly 25 years, Chris has been helping local San Diegans with all their mortgage needs. Call Chris Wiley at 619-722-1303 or primeres.com/Alpine.
All right, so we're talking to Mark Mueser. He's running for U.S. Senate here in California. He's a longtime attorney and political advocate all across the state of California. We just scratched the surface on some of the election integrity things. But first, go to markmueser.com. That's MarkMeuser.com. Check him out. He's, like I said, running for U.S. Senate for the seat that was vacated by now Vice President Harris. But before we went to break, Mark, we were talking about election integrity. I really want to get into this with you. So let me ask you a couple of almost yes or no questions. Because you were saying, hey, look, there's not really an integrity problem. There's not a voter integrity or an election integrity problem. There is a voter suppression problem in California. So I want to ask kind of the same question a few different ways so that people people get the knowledge they need, so that they get the confidence they need to show up and vote. When you say there's not an election integrity problem, that people aren't taking ballots and throwing them away, right?
No, they're not taking it, and I'm going to correct you. I didn't say that there's no problem. I said the biggest problem is not election integrity. The biggest problem is election suppression.
My apologies. But before we get to election suppression, though, let's talk about voter integrity. Is there a significant issue with people legitimately voting and then having their vote or their ballot destroyed for no reason?
No, that is, even in the election integrity side, that is not the biggest problem. Yes, there may be a few people who get ballots that who aren't supposed to get it. But again, that's not the margin of where we're losing the election.
And in California, is there a problem with people who don't exist voting? In other words, are there ballots showing up for
dead people?
People that people that are dead, or maybe people that aren't real, or people that are voting illegally. Is that a widespread problem in California?
Not widespread, but again, I'm going to have to address all these questions in a narrative form rather than a yes or no, because these are not yes or no questions.
I totally understand. So tell me.
You have to understand. You're the first person we've been able to ask this. Let me see if this would help. What would be the percentage of votes that have either been tampered with, lost, or manipulated? Out of all the votes we get in California, that come in, are we talking a small percentage? What are we talking?
I think it's close. It's hard to put an exact number on it.
Right.
But it's probably 0.1%.
A 0.1%.
Okay. I can live with 0.1%.
So do you think that there are races out there that have been won or lost in the past, I'm going to just say last 2, maybe 3 cycles, so last 4 to 6 years, are there campaigns or elections, rather, that have been won or lost because of election integrity issues? In other words, people voting who didn't exist, people's ballots being destroyed, that sort of thing. Are there people in office currently that won because they cheated?
I think the answer to that question is yes. I don't know that it's necessarily in the state of California, but I do know that we have had extremely close races in the past, even in California, even San Diego. I believe that there was like a city council race south of San Diego a few years back where it was won by under 10 votes. And yeah, when you push came to shove, there was probably a couple people who voted who shouldn't have voted, and yes, that election was probably determined by illegal ballots. I can go back. This is not a new problem. I can go take us clear back into the 1700s in this country. Where stuff happens. But
we're sophisticated enough today that we should there should never be an argument on voter ID. I mean, I have to show my ID for 90% of the things I do. I think voting is one of the most important. I think that would bring some integrity back to the non-voter, knowing that if they have to show an ID. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
If you want to vote at a union election or at the California Party election, you have to show ID.
You can't even go to the Democratic Party without ID.
That's true. That's probably fixed some things. But let's get back to so there isn't. You wouldn't say there is an election integrity issue. It may not be as widespread as a lot of people think. But you made the point of saying there's a voter suppression issue. So now let's get into that. Explain what you mean by that.
Okay. How many people, it's hard, it's a lot easier for me to do this when I'm talking to a crowd, but you probably all heard about the story out of Woodland Hills where Republicans were being told that they had already voted.
Yes.
Okay. I had that problem solved in 30 minutes. It was a reset of the computer. That's all that needed to happen. Unfortunately, for the next 3 days, that was shared long and wide on social media, in major media outlets, telling people that Republicans were being turned away at the polls. Now, California has some of the worst-run elections in the nation. For about the last 7 elections, we have been ranked like the second worst or the third worst in the nation. Nationwide, the average is about 1% provisional ballots. 1% of the people who go into a poll to vote on Election Day are told you've already voted, or that for some other reason they can't figure it out, and you have to vote a provisional ballot. In the state of California, that number is 16%. Meaning 16 out of every 100 people who come into the polls to vote on Election Day are forced to vote a provisional ballot.
Why is that?
California, because the people in charge, the Secretary of State, doesn't want to fix the problem.
And what's the problem?
We're not maintaining our voter rolls. We're in a state that has some of the best technology in the world. We refuse to use that technology to properly clean up our voter rolls, to make sure that people have accurate information, make sure our databases actually are talking with each other. When people die, make sure they're removed. When people move out of state, their name is removed from the list.
Is it because of incompetence, or is this malfeasance?
For a long time, I thought it was, just incompetence, but I actually think it plays into the Democrats' plan of voter suppression, because they know that all it takes is a story like that, and now 1 million people who were going to vote yes on the recall decide that their votes doesn't matter, and they don't show up to vote. You may have heard the story of people who had moved from the state of California 3, 4, 5 years ago getting a ballot mailed to them out of state.
Yeah, of course.
10,413 people. That's how many people got a ballot mailed to them. We didn't lose the election by 10,413 people on this recall. But those stories were spreading all over social media, all over the conservative media. And now people go, you know what? They're cheating. My vote doesn't matter. I'm not going to vote. And that's where we're getting this voter suppression is we actually saw on this recall election, as we're looking at the data, the people who are what we call 5 out of 5 voters, meaning they vote every single election.
Right.
They vote, okay? In fact, we actually saw a very high number of people who were called 0 out of 5, meaning they never vote, who all of a sudden showed up to vote.
We could have won.
The people in the middle stayed home. We were expecting 4 million people to vote on Election Day, and it was like 1.5 million.
Ugh.
And when you look at who didn't vote, it was the conservatives.
Right. Well, we got to go. We could, like you said, this could be a 3-hour show, hands down. But I think what we need to do is work extremely hard on getting the message out. And I know I've heard it ever since I was a little kid that your vote counts and not to ignore it. All right, buddy.
And your website, MARKMEUSER, go check them out, .com. It's markmueser.com. Go check them out. But also, we should have you come back for a couple segments and talk exclusively just about this. It's that important. It is such a battle, and it's that important. We should have you back.
All right.
I will be more than willing to do it. This is one of my jobs as an election law attorney. Is I understand it, and the biggest thing we're pushing right now as election law attorneys is, yes, there are problems with California elections. The attorneys are taking care of it. It's going to take time to fight it.
Right.
But what we, the people, have to do is we have to vote, because I can't defend against voter fraud if I don't have the votes to begin with.
There you go. All right. So since Mike asked all that legal advice, send the invoice to 1-800-MICHAEL-SCHWARTZ, 1-800-MICHAEL-SCHWARTZ.
In this segment, we're getting to know one of Joe's fellow authors on Substack. His name is Aaron Kenny.
All right. Well, hey, we are also very proud to partner with the National Concealed Carry Association as a 10-ring partner. NCCA exists to serve the Second Amendment community by providing a nationwide network of 2A advocates. They offer elite self-defense and concealed carry training from the nation's top instructors and provide rock-bottom prices on the best selection of gear and accessories. Join them today. Members get great prices and free shipping. Learn more about them at nationalconcealedcarryassociation.net or .com. Sorry about that.
Yep.
So, who's your guest?
nationalconcealedcarryassociation.com.
Correct.
Excellent. Aaron Kenny of Civilian Dissent wrote a very interesting article. Joe Jamisi couldn't be here today, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But this is something that he recommended and liked very much, so we thought we'd get Aaron on the air and chat with him a little bit. Aaron, how you doing, man?
Good, man. I appreciate you guys having me on.
You bet. So talk about your art. First, tell us who you are.
I'm Aaron Kenny. I write, obviously, on Substack, Civilian Dissent. And
what is Substack? Tell people what Substack is.
The Substack is so when we saw a bunch of journalists start getting nixed from various places, especially when the censorship really kicked off a couple years ago, Glenn Greenwald was the most notable one. They kind of all flocked to this alternate platform. And it's a censorship-free platform where the authors can basically control, they can do free stuff or they can do paid weekly emails or whatever. But it's just it's a nice alternative to the mainstream media. So.
Okay, you're talking to the dummy in the room. So I sit down to my computer, and what do I do to get there?
You just go to Substack.com.
Oh.
And then Oh.
Yeah. There you go.
If you want to go to mine specifically, you would go to civiliandissent.substack.com.
Okay,
and I think Joe's is getagrip.substack.com or something. So whatever it is,
That's interesting.
Okay.
See, I thought it'd be more difficult.
No, it's easy. It's easy. Modern technology. Okay, so you wrote an article titled, "You Are Part of a Cultural Insurgency." You are part of a cultural insurgency. Tell us about that article. What point were you looking to make in the article?
It was just for all of us that who are big Second Amendment advocates. It was just an attaboy for all of us that have been pushing for this. Just a reminder that what we are doing works. Ultimately, it's just the current Second Amendment culture like the dominating force in it has been influenced so much by the NRA and, various, I would say, feckless conservative leaders. We've been conditioned to just kind of give up our rights or compromise whenever the Democratic Party pushes.
Well, you were really rough on the NRA. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, I mean, the NRA has supported every federal gun control bill since its inception. It was in on writing the NFA. It helped with the GCA. They supported the bump stock ban, the most recent one. So they are kind of the epitome of compromise, in my opinion.
Now, if they were, look, I'm not here to support the NRA. I'm not here. I personally have had, in our organization, San Diego County Gun Owners, Riverside County Gun Owners, we've had run-ins, let's say, with the NRA. But I'm not here to bash them. I'm not here to support them.
Mm-hmm.
But devil's advocate would say that they weren't supportive of certain legislation, that the legislation that you're talking about. But what they were trying to do is stop it and then, or at least craft it so that it wasn't as bad. What's your reaction? I get that all the time. This isn't my argument. This is what I'm told all the time. So just playing devil's advocate and bringing up what they would say. What are your thoughts on that?
No, and I hear the same argument all the time. And the thing is that the Second Amendment is very clear in the way it was written, in the way the founding fathers, wanted it to be or had prescribed early on, and that it was never their job to compromise on our behalf, and it was never their job to try to get in and try to mold quote unquote mold legislation to make it easier on us. It was their job to oppose it no matter what. That's why they get millions of dollars a year. That's why they are the face of gun rights.
I think that's a fair criticism. Absolutely. In the article, you also talk about Tim Pool a lot, who I'm a fan of. I like Tim Pool. I don't agree with everything. I don't agree with everything. There's nobody out there I agree with on everything.
Yeah, I'm with you.
But he's a good dude. He's interesting, and I've listened to him. It was actually my wife found him and turned him on to me, and I've heard him kind of. I don't know if he shifted, and kind of changed and maybe was enlightened on some things like gun issues, Second Amendment issues, or if the world around him changed and he refused to go with them, and therefore it looks like he was kind of left in the cold. But he originally started out as a Bernie Sanders guy. Progressive, and I think he would
Occupy Wall Street guy.
That's where he got famous. Occupy Wall Street, covering all that. But now, I mean, he's pretty rock solid when it comes to Second Amendment issues. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes. Oh yeah. It's actually been so. He hasn't always been that way. I know he had like a run-in with like a break-in or something, and all he had on him was a pellet gun to defend himself, and that kind of changed his mind a little bit. He's talked about that. But it's been fun to watch him go from like not against guns but not for them to tentatively pro-gun to now he's pretty much an absolutist, so there has been a shift in him, and it's been fun to watch, and it's encouraging because if some hardcore leftist Occupy Wall Street Bernie guy can do it, that means we can do that for a lot of people, right? They're not all lost.
And so, tell us, and that was kind of that's what you kind of, when with the article, that's how you kind of kicked it off, is with Tim Pool, and basically, was that the reason for including Tim, is saying, hey, look, if this guy can change, we can change anybody?
Well, that's part of it. And the other, I mean, honestly, it was just his assessment of the current Second Amendment culture that inspired me to write it. Like, he was talking about the dominant culture that's, a little bit of an older generation, probably the guys that were the guys that were advocating that we give up bump stocks, to satiate the left. The guys who are willing to compromise. They think that, there has to be quote unquote reasonable gun control. But I wanted to write the article because we are seeing a shift in the culture right now, where the younger generation is much, much more of the absolutist type. Good. We want the NFA abolished and that kind of stuff. So it was his little excerpt there inspired me to write it, but I wanted to, I don't know, like I said, encourage those of us who are fighting the good fight, right?
So from your article, I just want to read a little bit. Culture is everything. Politics is irrelevant. And we are taking over the Second Amendment culture. We are only going to get more wealthy, more powerful, and more influential. As we get older, we will infiltrate institutions and political offices everywhere. It's not a fast strategy, but it's the only way to have meaningful political change. I thought that was an excellent way. It was your penultimate paragraph there, and I thought it was an excellent summary and way to as an outro to your article. Is that pretty much sums up all the points you made prior? Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, man, and I appreciate the kind words there. But yeah.
So, and part of it is being involved. You know, we have a candidate in the studio today, right now, Laura Lothian. She's running for office.
Hello.
in La Mesa. She's endorsed by San Diego County gun owners, and we're trying very hard to get her elected. I've said many times, we have to get involved. We have to stop sharing memes, and thinking that that's activism. And honestly, the refuse to comply people, they're not helping. And I don't mean that it's that they're literally. Actually, I do mean they're literally not helping. If you're hey, I'm going to fight this by refusing to comply, that really means you're just sitting in your house, not doing something, and kind of feeling good about how ballsy you are. When in reality, you're not really doing anything.
Signaling. Yeah, you're in-group signaling for online points. That's it.
You're in-group signaling for online points. I like that a lot. Yep. That's exactly what you're doing. You're kind of it's like the right side of the spectrum's virtue signaling, right?
Exactly.
But the reality is, it means you're not doing anything. Now, if you said, "Hey, look, I'm not going to comply," and then you publicize it, and then you get arrested, and then you hire an attorney, and you go through the legal system, or you use that as a launch pad for your to run for office. Great. But the reality is, when people say they're not going to comply with something, it really means that they're more comfortable sitting on their couch rather than actually doing something. Am I wrong? Am I way off? Am I being too critical?
No, I agree with you. There has to be the action behind just the words. I mean, and that's another thing, are these that I have a problem with some of the, leadership in the Republican parties. There's a lot of empty platitudes with no action behind it,
I'm just impressed you could find leadership in the Republican Party. That's amazing.
I'm trying to not hurt too many feelings here.
Oh, come on, man. The name of your platform is Civilian Dissent. You got to hurt some feelings. Break some eggs, my friend.
I think I did with that article, man. I had a lot of people, the older generation, a little pissed off, a little mad at that.
Well, I think it was great. I think you did a great job. I really liked your article. You are a part of a cultural insurgency by Aaron Kenny. Aaron, thank you so much for your article, and thanks for coming on the air with us, man.
Hey, as far as these old guys getting mad at you, the way you look at that is they read your article.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep, monetize your haters. That's what I always say.
Everybody's entitled to an opinion, and if they felt strong enough to respond, that's a feather in your cap, and just don't change that mantra, and you'll be fine.
I appreciate that.
All right. So what's cooking in San Francisco?
Well, so we're going to talk to Lori Lothian a little bit about the show and talk to her about her campaign next.
Sweet. So that has nothing to do with San Francisco.
No. Well, we might talk about San Francisco.
Okay. Hey, did you know John Dillon is the attorney of the Miller versus Bontis case and the Jones versus Bontis case? In other words, he's working to remove the assault weapon ban and working to restore your Second Amendment rights for 18 to 21-year-olds. And if you have legal matters that involve firearms, then you really need to know John Dillon. If you have a question about red flag laws, gun registration, gun transportation, or maybe you just need to know that your guns are California compliant, call our trusted firearms attorney, John Dillon. John Dillon specializes in California gun laws. Call 760-642-7150, or you can visit his website at dillonlawgp.com.
So what do you think of the show, Laura?
Well, I very, very fascinating. And I'll tell you this, the last gentleman that was on, the writer for Substack, he ended his segment by talking about Republican leadership.
Yeah.
And you guys kind of made a joke. There are any? Well, it's kind of funny because I have been making phone calls to very, very, very involved donors throughout San Diego County for the last month. And the number one overriding emotion I have received from these guys is frustration.
Yeah.
With they're more angry at Republicans laying down and getting steamrolled than they are at the guys doing the steamrolling.
Not as much as he is.
Yeah. It's everyone, and I told you I was talking
really
with
angry.
Very successful, powerful people in the county, and it would be a 20-minute diatribe of where are they, and that's how I feel. I used to use the example that if I saw someone beat up my mom and my dad watched the guy beating up my mom, I'd be angrier at my dad than I would be at the guy beating up my mom.
Right, because he didn't help.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really good analogy right now. It's a really good analogy. So, and especially with COVID, for decades, for my entire adult life, Republicans told me that Democrats were going to take away my rights, but they were going to stop them, and Democrats told me that, that they weren't going to take away my rights, and my freedom and my liberty. And then COVID came, and Democrats did come and take away my liberty and my freedom and a lot of people's, and Republicans didn't do anything.
Nothing.
They did nothing.
Well, that's one of the things that got me upset in La Mesa. I am surrounded by businesses because my office is in downtown La Mesa, the Village, and there's a gal who owns a restaurant, and she showed me her checking account on January of 2021, and it had $1,100 in it. Her overhead is $30,000 a month. She tried to turn her restaurant into a market that sells bananas and milk, something to stay alive. And I couldn't stand to see that because I saw her spend 2 years opening this place up. And so then I came up with the idea that we have a place called Avenue of the Stars. And I said, you know what, I'll pay for it. I'll put plastic tables out there. I'll put a cleaning station for people's hands. I'll clean the trash every day, that people could go pick up to-go food, and they'd have these plastic tables outside where they could eat. I saw them do that in Coronado, Mission Valley, Oceanside, Carlsbad, Little Italy, and I wanted to do the same thing, and the city of La Mesa said, nope, they're following CDC rules or whatever, no public tables in public spaces. And then I'm like, well, what about the public tables in our public parks that are filled with homeless people cooking? It's like, why were the public tables in the public parks allowed to stay, but the people who literally wanted to save their businesses couldn't have it? And then it dawned on me that, and I love La Mesa, and I know all the guys on city council, but what they did is they rubber stamped everything that came out of Sacramento. So you'd go to a park, and we had yellow caution tape like it was a murder scene. And they had garbage cans blocking entrances. And they were blocking, and anybody could tell being outside in the sun. A 4-year-old can't go on a merry-go-round or a seesaw. And I just said, someone has got to stand up and support these businesses. You can't have businesses going under.
Well, Dave's heard me tell this joke before. There's this old joke that I heard, I don't know how many years ago, that Republicans and Democrats, if Democrats presented a proposal to burn down the White House, Republicans would insist that they phase it in over 3 years.
Yeah.
That's it.
That is so sad.
So you're running.
True.
So you're running for La Mesa City
Yeah.
Council, and it sounds like, was that the I mean, you'd run before.
Yeah, well, you know what's so funny? I have a famous candle story. And what happened is I have an office on the boulevard, and you can see me through the window. And so a few years ago, a fireman walked into my office, and I'm like, hi. And he goes, hi, you're going to have to put that candle out. And it's like a little Anthropology vanilla lavender candle. And I'm like, what? And he goes, you got to put it out. And I'm like, why? He goes, because you don't have a permit for it. And I go, I need a permit for the candle. He goes, yeah. And I go, well, all right, I'll go downtown and get a permit. He goes, nope, we only issue them to places of worship and restaurants. Put it out. And I did. Today I would not. But then I'm like, okay. And so I blew it out.
This is a fireman?
This is a fireman, yeah. And he walked in maybe to blow out my candle. And then we used to have Christmas in the Village, and we'd roast chestnuts on an open fire. Well, they stopped that because the chestnut roasters didn't have a food handling license. So I play pickleball, and there's a huge sign on the court that says, must-have permit to give pickleball lessons. And it's just like, so that used to be annoying.
So these regulations are getting
They get me, because it's like you need a permit to move an outlet. You need a permit to install a chandelier. I'm a real estate agent. I've seen clients with unfinished decks because they spent more money on the paperwork than they did on the lumber, and they ran out.
Okay, I have to do this. Michael yell at me, but I have to tell you my regulation story.
Okay, I want to hear it.
I live in Alpine. I own 16 cars, okay? I want to put in a shop, 60 by 100. I'm ready to do it. So I called up U.S. Steel. I said, hey, you sell sheds in California? Garages? Absolutely, no problem. I says, you permitted? He says, yep, we paid all our permits. We're good to go. I said, okay, fine. He said, but if you're going to buy one, you have to go down to the county and buy a permit. I go, why do I got to buy a permit to have a building put up that you've already paid to have the permit? He says, talk to your government. So I went down, $2,800. $2,800
Yeah.
For what? For absolutely what? So I am on your side, and I'll move to La Mesa and I'll vote for you.
Yeah. Well, I have a client who was building a garage. It had nothing but a window and a garage door. And it took her 9 trips, and she'd go down with her plans, and the planner would find a mistake on page 2. She goes, okay, I'll correct that. And then she'd turn the page and goes, nope, go correct it and come back. That's not servicing the taxpayer. That is you lording over your authority. It took her 9 trips to get final approval.
So what you're describing, these permits and potholes, this is real city business.
Yeah.
And it feels more and more like La Mesa's city council is getting involved in national subjects rather than concentrating on making sure that if they're going to have a permit, that they can actually get the permit. It's affordable and available. If in case you want to have go through have the dangerous activity of having a candle in your office.
Right.
But it seems like, I don't know.
In
Am
my
I wrong?
brick
It seems
office.
like La Mesa is going way too far to the national scenes that, and totally straying away from what matters in people's lives about a city council.
It doesn't feel like a La Mesa election.
Well, are they financially strapped? Are they trying to raise money?
No. La Mesa's doing great.
So if they're not financially strapped, dumb as I am, that just sounds like control and harassment.
Well, that's how I feel. I just think that people have gotten into or governments have gotten into the habit
They're too
of
big.
Yeah, they're too big. And it would be nice if you almost had, almost like a triage government, like government only comes in when it has to. But instead, it's just controlling everything. And it is interesting that you mentioned potholes, because I have a client who, before he put his house on the market, he and his neighbor were filling the potholes on his street. And I just had to laugh. I mean, these are $1 million houses, and they're getting the materials, digging the hole, and they're
if
filling.
La Mesa seen that, they'd make him dig out all the asphalt, come down, get a permit, and then fill it back up.
Yeah, I don't know.
And that, people ask us a lot what our agenda is. San Diego County Gun Owners Radio, that all the different organizations. What's our agenda? We don't really have an agenda. Our agenda is to respond to other people's agendas. For years, for decades, for the entire history of our country, city councils, local government, they've done what they're supposed to do, which is fill potholes. That was the original reason for a city council. Is, hey, you know what? The road's kind of rough. We got to get people in and out of here. All right, let's get together and make some decisions.
Wasn't it also making sure the parks were well kept and people had places to go and recreate?
But the very basics of it was making sure that people could get in and out of your city. That's the origins of a city council. That's really their purpose. And then, of course, it's expanded beyond that. And now their agenda seems to be, hey, you know what? We as a city council want to make sure that we, that we signal and let everybody know what we feel about every national thing that comes along, including your gun rights. And so that's, we San Diego County Gun Owners and Orange County Gun Owners and, Riverside, San Bernardino, all these organizations are saying, hey, look, we want you to be a city council member, and we want you to stand with us on Second Amendment rights. Mm-hmm. But really, we understand your job is to fill potholes, make sure that people have garbage and water and, all the other things that a city council is supposed to do. And then if you move up in office, we want to make sure that you stand with us on Second Amendment rights now, because when you move up in office and, whether that's Sacramento or Washington, D.C., when you actually start making decisions on state and national issues like your Second Amendment, we want to make sure that you're with us. We want to make sure that you're who we need you to be when it comes to defending our Second Amendment rights. And the other candidates that you're running against, nowhere near that description. I mean, they're extreme, even for extreme. And when it comes to city government, we need, people that are going, hey, you know what? I just wanted a candle in my office. We just wanted to be able to keep some businesses open so people could eat and put their kids through college.
Well, you've got the parklets right now. So luckily, the governments allowed those temporary sidewalk parklets, street public spaces, and they've been a runaway success. I think they've really helped save hundreds of businesses. Sure. But San Diego is now getting ready to start taxing and regulating them. Anything San Diego does, La Mesa is going to follow suit. And I'm thinking the last thing these people need is regulations on their parklets, getting taxed on their parklets.
And why does La Mesa have to do that?
I don't know. So far, they just kind of follow suit.
Does Santee do that?
I don't know.
Santee didn't have a riot last year.
Yeah, well, we almost did.
Yeah, I know. And Santee's like, not happening here.
We almost did.
Yeah.
2 days after they burned down La Mesa.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. All right, well, we're going to take... You know what? It's been a blast having you around. How do people follow you and help you out?
Okay, my website's lauraforlamesa.com, LauraForlamesa.com.
Okay.
And
the other thing you need to do is sign up for our email, become a member, because we're endorsing her and we need help getting her elected.
All right, that sounds fantastic.
Thank you, guys.
Good having you. Hope you had a lot of fun.
Well, she's going to stay with us, and she's going to she's going to
ask the question.
She's going to ask the question.
Wait till you see what you're stuck with. Hey, we live in a state where your self-defense rights are under attack. So let us be your voice to help defend and restore the Second Amendment. Help spread the word about the fight. There's 2 easy things that you can do. 1, like and subscribe to the show on YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, Instagram, the podcast, or wherever else you listen to the show. 2 shows. Leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. We appreciate it. And it helps boost our show and puts it out in front of a lot more people. And nobody likes that more than our advertisers. All right. So we've got to have our special guests do...
Sam the Gunman. So Stump My Nephew.
Yep.
Sam the Gunman is my nephew. And we found out a few years ago that he's really good at gun trivia.
Yep. And he doesn't know anything about the question. He doesn't know the question, doesn't know the answer.
So if you,
So it's not rigged.
It's not rigged.
Okay.
That we can guarantee.
If you have a question about gun trivia, write us, email us, send us a message on Facebook. If we use your question on the air, we'll send you a hat or a T-shirt. If you stump my nephew, you get a membership to Front Sight, which is basically a lifetime of firearms training out in Pahrump, Nevada.
Wow,
So
that's
how
a good
cool is
prize.
that, right?
Yeah, you have a lot of confidence in your nephew.
You should. It's his record's amazing. Sam, you there? Sam?
Oh, no.
Where's Sam?
Oh, there he is.
You there, Sam?
You there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
There you go.
I can hear you now.
So, Sam, how old are you, man?
22, I guess.
He's 22.
Okay.
He guesses.
Uh-huh.
See that? Even when he guesses, he gets it right. It's amazing. This kid knows everything. So he's been on the show for what, like 3 years now?
Yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and his record, he gets like 90% of these.
Okay, so he has been stumped.
He has been stumped.
Okay.
But it's few and far between.
Okay.
And they're hard questions. Like we actually we'll go around the room and say, does anybody know the answer to that? No, none of us know the answer. I mean, they're hard questions.
See, now he thinks there's a conspiracy that the listeners know what his hot topics are and the ones he doesn't know as much about. So now they're hitting him with the ones that he doesn't know that much about. And he's not really happy with it. So
And he doesn't have a phone in his hand Googling anything.
No, in fact, my sister, his mom, is quality control, let's say. All right. Okay. So Laura is running for city council in La Mesa, Sam.
Great to hear.
Yeah. And she's endorsed by San Diego County Gun Owners. She's a guest in the studio. So she's
Awesome. Great to have you on the show.
She's gonna.
I've had a good time.
Yeah. So she's gonna read the question to you and try to stump my nephew.
Okay, and it's from Jose in Lakeside.
Correct.
Okay, so the question is this: what's the difference between a gunsmith and an armorer?
Jose in Lakeside, thanks very much for writing in. Now, as someone who works at a gun store, this is something I encounter all the time. People who aren't really into this, people who don't work in the industry, people who aren't really, really deep into this, will sometimes get the terms confused because they are pretty similar. And so I'll have people come up to me and ask, where's the nearest gunsmith? I need a gunsmith. And so I'll ask cagely, well, what do you need done? And then they'll say something like, oh, I need a trigger replaced or something like that. So the difference between a gunsmith and an armorer is like the difference between a machinist and an auto mechanic. An armorer is able to replace parts on a particular type of firearm and perform all the service that it requires to stay functioning, replace broken parts, change stuff out like that. Whereas a gunsmith is able to fabricate and tolerance new parts. So if you need, like I said, if you need a trigger replaced, if you need a barrel replaced in something like an AR-15, you need an armorer. If you're looking to have something much more elaborate done, like if you need, if you need a stock checkered, or if you need something that requires specialized tools and specialized equipment, then you're more looking for a gunsmith.
Okay, so
I don't think you got that right.
So before you read his answer, they even used the same analogy. Like the person who wrote in even used the same analogy. Go ahead and read the answer.
Okay, all right. So the primary objective of an armorer is to maintain firearms and conduct minor repairs through parts replacement.
That was right. He said that exactly.
He did. A gunsmith has the ability to machine firearms and parts as well as customize or create firearms or parts. The gunsmith is more of a machinist. The best analogy might be the difference between an automobile oil change service and an engine shop.
That's almost the exact.
Isn't that amazing? I mean, it's really
maybe he's Jose in Lakeside.
Yeah. Do you moonlight as Jose from Lakeside?
Yeah. Right.
Sometimes, Sam.
I promise I did not send that question in.
I was talking. I was at a Republican dinner last week, and do you remember Brian Marriott?
Yes, I do.
So Brian Marriott's running for Congress. He was a city council member up in Orange County, and I ran into him at a dinner, and we were chatting for just a minute. He was there with his wife, who was really lovely, really nice to talk to, and he brought up my nephew. He said, "Yeah, I sat down and talked with him, and he brought his nephew, and he was the smartest guy I ever met. He had all these questions, and he knew everything about guns, and he explained things to me." Anyway, it was very cool. When I went and met with Brian Marriott, I brought Sam. Sam happened to be in town. And I said, Sam, I need you to take some notes so that we know exactly. I'm going to be talking to him, so I need you to take some notes. So Sam had about 37 pages of notes.
Wow.
On Brian Marriott.
My goodness.
It was like sitting with an FBI agent.
Yeah.
And then whenever we had a question, Sam, why don't you explain to him about XYZ, firearm, whatever, and Sam would give him a dissertation.
Wow.
And how old was he at this time?
Like 12, I think.
No. This was he's talking me up as usual.
As usual.
I was acting as an administrative assistant for the day. I took a few pages of notes, and I explained a couple things that he had questions about.
Tomato. I think, what were you, like 19? It's like a couple years ago?
Probably thereabouts.
He was like 19, I think. So, anyway. Sam, awesome job, my friend. You saved me another front sight membership. You nailed it. You not only got the question right, but you got the analogy that they used right.
No comment.
That's amazing. All right, my friend. Thank you, Sam.
Bye, Sam.
Yeah, thanks very much for having me on. Good night.
Take care, buddy.
That's my nephew.
Amazing.
Huh?
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Lots of love between uncle and nephew. That's beautiful.
So I'm really happy that you're here, Laura. I really wanted you to be, in a few different segments and come on the show so that people got to know you.
Right.
Because you're extremely dynamic. You've been a really successful, important part of La Mesa and its success and a lot that's going on there. I can't really think of anyone or any way that would make you more qualified to be on the city council, and you just happen to be really great on the Second Amendment as well.
Yeah, and like I said, it'd be great to have the 4 members currently are all from the government sector. It'd be so nice to have somebody from the private sector on our city council.
Well, I think so, but I think it'd be nice for you to be on the city council.
Yeah, for me, exactly. Yeah, and and like 20 years of very successful real estate experience in La Mesa. I'm La Mesa's biggest cheerleader.
Truly.
Yeah, and even did it off air.
And we have this is a huge opportunity. We're rolling off this recall, everybody's throwing their hands up in the air. They're frustrated. They're mad. And we just spoke with Mark Mueser, who said, hey, look, the biggest problem here is people are not showing up to vote because they're discouraged. Yeah. Here's an opportunity where people can reach out to you, reach out to your campaign, give $10, give $100, give $1,000, whatever you can afford, but give something and show up. There's a lot of opportunities to help your campaign.
The number I'm getting is I ran in 2020, just last year, and garnered 9,175 votes. I am being told that if I get between 2,500 and 3,000 votes this election, I win it.
3,000 votes. That's
how many
all
people
we
are
got to
you
do.
up against?
That's it. There's five opponents. There's going to be a candidate forum this Wednesday, and I'll be up against 4.
So
on that one.
This is everything going our way. This is them splitting the vote rather than us splitting the vote.
Right.
This is us having a candidate who's qualified.
So if your Second Amendment, you only have one vote. That's her.
Exactly right. The other are nowhere near it.
Right.
Nowhere near.
Oh, no, hostile.
So, but the point is, and what we've talked about with the recall, and what we learned from Mark, is she's not going to win unless we help. We can't just sit back and say, all right, well, then that looks like it's taken care of. Or worse, we can't sit back and say, hey, my vote doesn't count. This is an opportunity to take back La Mesa City Council, which should be pro-Second Amendment. This is an opportunity to do the things that it takes to win, and for a candidate that really, truly supports our what we do. So, I again, what's your website? Laura for
LauraForLaMesa.com.
LauraForLamesa.
.com.
Thank you, Laura.
Thanks,
All right.
Laura. It's been
Thank
great.
you.
Hey, folks, subscribe to our podcast. Just search Gun Owners Radio, and you can find us. Leave a 5-star review to help the word get out. And please support all our fantastic sponsors: San Diego County Gun Owner, U.S. Law Shield, the Dillon Law Group, PRMI Mortgage, 365 Glacier Payment, Scott Vincent at Coldwell Banker Royalty Realty, and the National Concealed Carry Association. Thanks to Joe Germisi. Hope he gets well. We'll see him next week. Michael Schwartz, Sam the Gunman, and our Brendan Thomas, who's also a little under the weather, but he'll be back next week. Can't thank you all enough. Bob Siegel is in the wings, and I got a feeling he's going to have a full packed show for you right here on Gun Owners Radio, FM 96.1, AM 1170.